All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Market Wrap with Arjit, a SEBI-registered research analyst. Today, we'll be talking about, of course, the index levels. Currently, Nifty is at 23,997. We saw a fall of close to 180 points in this trading session. And also, we'll be discussing about metals and financial services stocks in this particular session. So, let's get started. Arjit, thank you so much for joining us, and let's start today's session.
Definitely, well, an awesome rally in the markets today. I believe, like if you guys are able to see the screen, you can see. And okay, it was a bad session in the morning. We opened with a gap down at 20 near 24,000 level. Again, test the first support at 24,000, then again tested the second support at 23,850, and then reversed exactly from 23,800. And that reversal, oh my god, what a rally that was. Like if you were trading this rally today, you would have seen call prices shoot from 20 rupees to 200 rupees in a matter of like 2 hours. So, right, an awesome rally today, awesome movement in the entire day, right? So, let's quickly do a wrap around of the markets. So, the markets, Nifty closed with a loss of 0.74%, around 200% loss at 23,997. Sensex as well closed with a loss of 0.75%, around 600 points down at 76,913. Now, the biggest question right now is why did the markets fall? What went wrong? Why were we in the loss today? Yesterday was an awesome session. We had closed with gains of around 1% yesterday. So what happened in the markets today? All of a sudden, overnight, what happened? So there are a lot of factors to it. The primary factor, the reason why yesterday we were up, again, there was negative news all over yesterday as well. But yesterday we had the support of the election news that was coming up, right? Everybody knows about the election which are going on in West Bengal right now, right? Again, the elections are going on in multiple states, important elections. But the most crucial one, the one that almost everybody is watching, is the West Bengal state elections, right? That is a very important one. So yesterday the exit polls came out. Yesterday, day before yesterday, the exit polls came out, and according to the exit polls, BJP is going to take over the state of West Bengal. They're going to form the government there. So markets are most likely celebrating that yesterday. Now again, there were a lot of negative news as well. Uh, if you track the crude oil news, we had that UAE has left the OPEC group, right? The OPEC, which is oil producing nations का एक group है. UAE has there are 12 countries that lead that group. We'll talk about that later. UAE has basically exited that group, and what happened after that is if you look at Brent crude over here, this is crude futures right now, which has rallied to 114. If you look at Brent crude spot is almost at 120, 114. This one as well. Hold on a second. Yeah. So Brent crude is close to $120, around 114, and which is not very good, right? We had already marked the levels of 190. That was the zone that we were trading in already, and now all of a sudden Brent crude is 114, right? So that is the first reason which is bringing a lot of pressures in the market. The second reason is the USD INR pair. USD INR has touched an all-time low of 95 rupees against the US dollar today, which is a big, huge negative. This was a circle that we had marked when we went live last time. That was somewhere around 27th of April, Monday. That time we were trading around $94, rupees against USD, and that time we were discussing that maybe the US, the Indian rupees would become stronger, and now we might see 93 once again. But then all of a sudden the news came in, volatility increased, and now we are at 95 rupees against US dollar, right? So that is point number two, which is putting pressure on the markets. And lastly, again, now there are some smaller micro level points like the Sensex expiry was today. Like today is Thursday, right? 30th of April. Today is not just monthly expiry for Sensex, but if you look at it carefully, this is the last trading session for April, for the month of April. Tomorrow is holiday once again. So tomorrow is 1st of April. It's holiday. Then comes Saturday and Sunday once again. A long weekend that is coming up, and then the next trading session comes in May, right? So 2 points here. First one, last trading session of April, and a long weekend that is coming up. So this is a last trading session before a long weekend. So these are some of the crucial points which have been putting a lot of pressure on our markets, especially in today's scenario. Deepika.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Arjit, let's deeply look into the sector-wise report as well.
Sure. Let's look at each and every sector here on this sectoral heat map right now. So, as you can see here, there's the broader market heat map that I've opened up. And if you see, almost all the broader market indices are down. You look at mid cap, you look at small cap, large cap, or maybe Nifty 500, Nifty 100, all the broader markets are again down, which means the downfall which came in today, it was not just led by say one group of stocks, right? It was led by the entire broader market was supporting this move. So right, this was the broader market. If you look at the sectoral index as well, sectoral heat map, you'd see IT and pharma. These are the only two sectors that were positive today. Apart from these two sectors, almost all the sectors are in red. You talk about FMCG, you talk about realty, PSU banks, metals, consumer durables. These are among the top losing sectors. And again, Nifty Bank as well with a loss of 1% each. So these are all of the top losing sectors that we talk about. Now let's quickly look at the stock specific heat map. How did the Nifty 50 stocks do? How did the top stocks in the markets? How did they perform? So you look at Bajaj Auto, Sun Pharma, Bajaj Finance, Kotak Bank, SBI Life, Infosys, Tech Mahindra. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Only these were the top gaining stocks. Otherwise, all of the other stocks in the markets were in the red. If you look at Nifty 50s altogether, the heat map here, you'd see Bajaj Auto, Sun Pharma, Infosys, Bajaj Finance. Basically, all of the stocks that we just looked at in the heat map, all of them are the top, like the top gaining stocks from the Nifty 50s universe. Now, looking at each and every sector, we can see there are a couple of stocks from pharma. There's one stock from auto, and there's a couple of stocks from banking and finance sector, which means these are the top three sectors that we have to focus on. And just to bring in this important point, a couple of sessions ago we discussed rate sensitive sectors. We talked about it for a while, where we discussed if crude oil prices keep on rising, how will all of these rate sensitive sectors react, and how would though their stocks react? And today, all of those rate sensitive sectors, not just the entire sector, but all of those individual stocks are under pressure. You talk about M&M from auto, or maybe you talk about Maruti, Eicher Motors, Tata Motors. These are the top or the most tracked stocks from auto sector, and all these stocks are in the red. Talking about NBFC, you see HDFC Bank, Axis, ICICI, Bajaj Finserv, all of SBI, all of these are the top stocks that people usually come to these stocks when you talk about banking and finance, and all of these stocks are down in the market today, which again verifies our statement that whenever crude oil would rise, all of these rate sensitive stocks and rate sensitive sectors would move in the contrary direction. So you'd see there's an inverse relationship between crude oil movement and the movement of these rate sensitive sectors and stocks. Keep it on.
Got it. Arjit, since we're talking about the rate cut, so rates. So what's your commentary on the Fed? They did not, reduce or increase any of the interest rates, and it was also the last, take by Powell. What's your commentary on that? We kind of missed that. Good afternoon.
So I I wouldn't say that it was very positive or negative, as the chair leader Jerome Powell, as he said that it's flat, right? They're not changing anything, and they're also waiting for the fresh developments that come in from the war that is currently going on and the inflation data that comes in from the US domestic market. So I believe we should now not look at that the US Fed rates a lot right now. I know the RBI rates would also be affected by their decisions, but again, RBI rates would also refer to the domestic inflation in India and how the Indian economy is overall doing, right? The US Fed's interest rate decision, it will have an impact on our market, but again, it is not like उनका मार्केट ही अच्छा है, उन्होंने अगर रेट कट किए तो आर मार्केट्स आरबीआई विल डू रेट कट. So I don't think there is a lot of I don't think we should pay a lot attention to that. because despite the rates being flat, unchanged, the rates were fixed between 3.5 3.75. So despite that, you'd see the US market, it was down. If I just load in Dow Jones right now, you'd see the US market was in the negative. Okay, the last session was positive, but overall their markets were in the red. If you look at Nasdaq Composite, which goes with ICSIC, you look at Nasdaq Composite, that was under pressure as well. Look at SPX S&P 500, that was under pressure as well. Exactly same chart as XIC. So I think the US market did not enjoy that, but our markets on the other hand, we did see a gap down, but then a sharp recovery was there, which indicates that the strength in the Indian market is still active despite all of the global or the macro sentiments that are coming into play in the different financial markets. People.
Okay, okay, got that. Now let's dive into the stocks. We have a lot of stocks to discuss in this particular section, especially when coming to metals and financial services.
Yes, so the first stock that I'd like to talk about is Vedanta Limited. Now, something crazy had happened in Vedanta Limited. So, the stock is again, all of the stocks that we're discussing are around their results, or maybe they're doing some dividends, or maybe demerger is happening. All of those stocks that we're going to talk about, ECK regarding their discussion is going to be. Vedanta Limited, awesome results. You can see that the stock has reacted very positively to the news that came in around its results, and also they're doing some demerger. Vedanta Limited, India's largest mining stock, and they're doing demerger as well. So again, positive results, demerger news, all of it is very positive for Vedanta. The next levels that I'm watching for is 795. Once we cross 795, I believe that is when the stock would be, I guess, on a fresh life high, right? Let me confirm that. Yes, the stock would be on a fresh life high after 795. And if demerger happens, I believe that way the distribution of different services that Vedanta has would also be divided. So again, I believe 795 is a crucial resistance here. Once that is crossed, then we can come back to Vedanta and talk about it. The next stock that I have to talk about is KFin Tech. KFin Tech is an NBFC and IT stock both, right? Now something bad really happened here. Its results were very bad. Overall, the IT sector, we know the IT sector has not been doing very well. Although, if you see the sectoral heat map, IT sector was doing pretty well. It was among the top gaining sector today. But individual stocks are not doing very well. We already know what's going on with TCS. We already know what happened with Infosys after its results. And once again, we have another IT disaster, which is KFintech. Another IT related stock, I would say it's not IT, but IT and finance related. That stock is going to be Motilal Oswal. Motilal Oswal Fin Limited. Yeah, this one it's more like an NBFC firm, but again it indulges into IT services as well. So it is covered in both IT as well as banking, Bank Nifty and Fin Nifty as well. This stock, contrary of what K FinTech has been doing, this stock is doing very well. You talk about fundamentals, the results are awesome. You talk about operational profit, operating profit, that is doing very well as well. What the other analysts are saying about Motilal Oswal Financial Service, this particular stock, is that they did not find the results much attractive. But if you dive deeper into the results, you would see that the operating profit is quite healthy and the growth over there, the margins are quite healthy. So that way, I believe Motilal Oswal Financial Services has like I look at it as a perspective. My perspective here is like this stock has the potential to achieve new highs in the upcoming sessions. So the level that I'm watching for is its weekly high, which is 834. Once this level is crossed, then we can come back to it maybe for 860 or 880 in the upcoming trading sessions. But the first level that we have to watch is 834 on Motilal Oswal. I've got a couple of more stocks to talk about. We can talk about Hindustan Zinc. That stock has announced a dividend of 11 rupees per share, and today was the last date to buy the stock to be able to be eligible for the dividend. Today was the record date. Now, interesting thing that happens whenever a stock announces dividend, right? This is for all of the new users, people who are new to the stock market. Usually, what people think of dividend is free money. Yes, it is free money, but you pay the cost of that dividend in the intraday move of that stock, right? Let me take an example. Suppose if you have bought Hindustan Zinc yesterday, ठीक है, you bought it yesterday thinking कि यार today is the record date of dividend, I'll buy that stock today, कल मेरे portfolio में होगा, Hindustan Zinc would already know कि okay, this is our shareholder, and then they would give me the dividend of 11 rupees per share. But look closely what's happening here. Yesterday's close was around 613, or maybe no, the yesterday's close was around 614, and today's opening was at 612. Dividend कितने रुपए का है? 11 rupees per share. And how much fall have you noticed in the share in just one day? Approximately 11-12 rupees. So the amount that you're going to gain in through the dividend, you've already lost it in this particular share in just one day, right? So this is the fun fact about dividends. It is free money, but not exactly if you are trading the stock, especially around the dividend record date, right? So this is something that you have to watch for. Now, Hindustan Zinc is an example right now because the stock has already released, like announced its dividend. But you can take this
I'm
up
sorry to
any
cut you
dividend.
here. Yes, I'm sorry to cut you here, Ajit. But then most of the new users they get confused between X date and the record date. So can you please throw some clarity on that?
No, no, no. The X date and record date, again, okay. So record date is basically which date should you have the stock in your portfolio. Like it's a must. The record date is, suppose if today is the record date. So today the company is recording, okay, how many shareholders do I have, the demat account, PAN details, all of that. And then based on that in the upcoming quarters, or maybe like usually it is within 15 days of the record date, but it could take as late as a couple of quarters for the company to release its dividend, deliver the dividends to its particular shareholders. Right? So that is a record date. X date, record date, same stuff. The basic point is on that particular date mentioned, you should have the stock in your portfolio to be able to be eligible for the dividend. Now, this dividend stuff would be relatable to you, like it would apply to you if you hold that stock, if you take delivery positions, and if you have that stock in your portfolio on the record date, only then you will be eligible for the dividend. Now suppose if you're an intraday trader, you would take an intraday position or MIS position, right? So MIS intraday position legi, that is not how you will be able to be eligible for the dividend. For dividend you'll need intraday, not non-intraday delivery positions, so that the company knows that you're an active shareholder, you have the share. That is when you'll get the delivery in your demat account, right? So this is about Hindustan Zinc. A couple of other stocks as well. I will talk about Shriram Finance, another good NBFC company. Just a second, Shriram Finance. Yeah, DCM Shriram. No, C Shriram Finance. Thank you. Another good company, good results, good profits, good margins as well. But the stock is under pressure. Why is the stock under pressure? Because there's a strong profit booking in retail. You see, everybody knew that the results would be good, right? How do we know that the results are good? We have the expectations already. We've talked about this in a couple of previous sessions as well, that all of the major investment banking firms or all of these big analyst firms like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan, all of these huge investment banking firms, they release expectations around their individual stocks. Like for example, somebody who tracks Shriram Finance, they would analyze its previous results and they would come up with an expectation. What do we expect? क्या result आएगा? Once those expectations are out, some people who actually like they study the stocks very well, they buy the stock, and that is where the previous rally has already come up with. So this today's result rally was already priced in the previous sessions. If you just look at the charts, already priced in, the people were already buying the stock. They knew that result अच्छे आने वाले हैं. That is why जब result आए, when the results came out, results were good. They started booking their profits because that is when most of the retail participants they start buying the stock, and this is where people get trapped. So what do we learn from this? Look at expectations, do your own analysis, and that is when you'll come to a conclusion that if this stock is good for me or not. For long-term investors who have maybe bought the stock today, or maybe they're considering to buy this particular stock, say Shriram Finance right now, fundamentals are good. You can still buy that stock, but you'll have to stay invested for a couple of weeks for a stock to actually come back to its original intrinsic value that we talk about, right? So these were a couple of stocks. Again, all of these stocks are result-oriented stocks. Stocks जिनके results या तो अच्छे थे या तो अच्छे नहीं थे, but we saw some good action coming up on stocks in this particular chart. Now, if you have to draw a conclusion from all of this stock that we talked about stocks from metal, Vedanta Limited. We talked about stock from IT industry. We had KFin Tech and Motilal Oswal. We also talked about banking, financial stocks, Shriram Finance and Motilal Oswal, and we also talked about Waaree Energy, I believe so. So all of these stocks from all of these sectors that we came up, one thing is very clear for the upcoming sessions, we be it weekly sessions, we say for the upcoming week or maybe for upcoming quarter, banking and financial sector is a place or maybe it's a theme that people should focus on. Now, IT is something jisme the move is already over, right? We have already seen a good rally in IT in the last 2 to 3 years. Now, IT sector is set to consolidate. The move will come either in metals, the move may come in banking and finance, and the move may come in NBFC segment. Now, metals avoid क्यों करना है? Because a lot of Asia related turbulence is coming in for metals. So metal prices are usually ruled by Chinese market. We all know that. And in the past couple of trading sessions, we've already seen Tata Steel, JSW Steel, all of these popular metal stocks, they were under pressure. So metal stocks may there is momentum, there is opportunity, but I don't believe that it would be a very high probability opportunity. It most likely would be either consolidating or metals might again be sideways with a negative bias. But banking and finance, this is a sector जहाँ पे opportunity is there. This sector might do very well, right? So this is one sector that people should track. Represent.
Got it, got it. Now let's look at the open interest and what are the major levels for the upcoming week.
Sure. Let's quickly load up the open interest chart here. Right. So interesting data is being firmed up here. Now, today's 30th of April. The next expiry is on 5th of May. Right. And now we are opening on next week. Right. So tomorrow is 1st May of his holiday. 2nd and 3rd May is holiday. The next trading session would be on 4th of May. And then on 5th of May, that's the expiry. The bad part about this entire week was that for option traders जो weekly expiry trade करते हैं, for those people they barely got 1 or 2 days to trade, right? Tuesday was an expiry, Wednesday था, Thursday था, and today's Thursday, today the weekends, and then you'll get Monday. So you got only 3 days to trade the May expiry if you trade weekly expiries, right? So that was a big negative, which is a major reason why there are not a lot of volumes in this particular strike price here on the chart. Usually when we see these charts open interest का from a couple of sessions, बहुत sessions हम लोग open interest देख रहे हैं. I believe from like 10-11 sessions हम लोग open interest देख रहे हैं. Every time at the money strike, be it 24,000, 24,200, 24,400, every time on that ATM strike, we used to see highest open interest for call as well as put, right? Followed by a couple of other strike prices जहाँ पे कॉल हुआ या पुट हुआ या ऊपर नीचे होता था. But in today's session, we are seeing one of the lowest OI both for call as well as put. Only 15,500 open contracts and call, and you see only 7,000 open contracts and put side. So this is a very, I believe, very low amount of contract that were being open and traded in that particular strike price. Now, the reason for that is quite obvious. We have talked about it. It's a long weekend. उसके बाद सीधे आप मंडे खुलेंगे, मंडे को ट्यूसडे वापस से एक्सपायरी है, राइट? सो यू बेयरली हैव एनी टाइम टू ट्रेड. इट्स अ लॉन्ग वीकेंड, एंड लॉन्ग वीकेंड पे सबसे डेंजरस चीज ये है, नाउ द यूएस ईरान वॉर that is escalating. Everybody knows about it, right? Whenever you expect something good coming in from the US porters, something very bad happens. And whenever we are expecting bad, yaar, ab to something crazy is going to happen, that is when everything good starts happening. This is something which is happening from past 4 to 5 weeks. I'm talking about the tweets and on Truth Social that Donald Trump does. Whenever you expect something good, bad happens. Whenever you expect bad, something good happens. So you can really not predict what would happen over the weekend. Now, इसके लिए the best way to trade is either do not trade, या तो you stay out of the market. यार, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's stay out of the market. That way you can protect your capital. Or the other way is what we've suggested on the Zdvisors app, which is a long straddle. A long strangle is a very simple strategy where you buy an out of the money call option and you buy an out of the money put option. The idea is simple. या तो निफ्टी नीचे जाएगा या तो निफ्टी ऊपर जाएगा. अगर निफ्टी नीचे जाता है तो you already have the put option that you have bought in that will give you profit. Call option में stop loss आएगा but the put option will earn you a lot of returns. And in case the market goes up, you have the call option with you. Call option will give you highest returns. Put option अगर डीके हो भी गया so you have barely 15-20% loss there. You are already earning 40-45% the call option, right? So that is a clever way to hedge your position so that किसी भी direction में market जाए you will make good money. That is long strangle. That is something which we had recommended today on ZY's Advisors. Again, if you guys are following us on that platform, you would know this already and हो सकता है शायद आपकी position already बन गई होती. But anyways, let's quickly look at the OI data here and let's understand which direction will the market really go on Monday. Now again, this data we are analyzing as of close of Thursday. Friday, Saturday कुछ भी हो सकता है, but still it's our job to have a prediction around what might happen. So if you look at the highest call OI, of course, call OI is always at 25,000. वो तो level है ही हमारे पास. But 25,000 is too far. We are at 24,000 right now. 25,000 1000 point ऊपर है. So there's no point looking at 25,000. The second highest one is at 24,500. Let's look at the chart here. Have you marked 24,500 already? Yes, we have already marked 24,500. So that is our last resistance zone. Before that, we have 24,300. Have you marked that? Yes, we've already marked 24,350. Which means the levels that we have marked already, these levels are already in line with what we are seeing here in the open interest. राइट. सो ओपन इंटरेस्ट क्या बोलता है, मार्केट अगर ऊपर गया, पहला सपोर्ट पहला रेजिस्टेंस मार्केट लेगा 24,300 पे, सेकंड रेजिस्टेंस विल बी 24,500 एंड द फाइनल अल्टीमेट रेजिस्टेंस विल बी 25,000. सो इन नो कंडीशन द मार्केट वुड क्रॉस 25,000. दैट इज आवर अल्टीमेट रेजिस्टेंस. On the lower side, we are seeing 23,000 is the highest put to. मतलब नीचे जाएगा तो 23,000 के नीचे तो नहीं जाने वाला. And that level also we have already marked here, 23,300. Okay, 23,000 right here. 23,000 we are already marked from a very long time. नीचे जाने को इसके नीचे तो नहीं जाएगा. What is the other levels that you have to watch for? The second levels are 23,200 and 23,500. Right? So here 23,500 is important because PCR here is 10 at 23,200, but PCR is 7.01 at 23,500. मतलब अगर डीके होगा, ऑप्शन का प्राइस अगर डीके होगा, खत्म होगा, बिना किसी वैल्यू पे खत्म हो जाएगा, जीरो, that would be at 23,500. Let's quickly check. Have we marked that level? Yes, we've already marked 23,500. So once again, all of the support, resistance, the levels that we have marked are in line with open interest. So अगर market ऊपर जाएगा, we have the resistance set. We have the resistance at 23,300, 23,500 and 25,000. And if the markets go down, we already have the levels 23,500, 23,200 and 23,000. Now the markets would stay in this range या तो market बीच में रहेगा. Right now we are at 24,000, 24,300 से 23,500 के बीच में रहेगा. या फिर market will break the level, markets will go up, or the markets will break down. What will happen? That we do not know. That will come to know once we have the updates over the weekend. Like what's going to happen? Is the US attacking any other country or not? So what's really happening? वो उस पे depend करेगा. And lastly, before ending, I have something to talk about the OPEC and the UAE thing. So if we can do that real quick.
Please. Go ahead.
So something interesting has been happening in the oil and gas sector. Like if you look at crude oil, again, it's very crazy to see that crude oil has risen to $120 right here. I found the spot for crude. Finally, I'll save this. So crude oil has touched an all-time high of 120 US dollar against a barrel. This is very high. Now, with very high, I mean it is quite high. It is the highest point that we have touched ever since the war has begun. This is dangerous. Why is this dangerous? The reason is very simple. So everybody has heard about OPEC. OPEC is the Organization of Petrol Exporting Countries. That's the full form of OPEC. OPEC usually the role of OPEC is to sell oil to the entire world. So all of the oil producing nations, they come together, they form a group, and they're like, "कि हम group है, we will only sell oil to all of the countries in the world. There are 198 countries. We are the 12 countries. We have formed the group and we'll sell it to all the countries available." Right? Now, these countries again, 12 countries, they include Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Venezuela, Congo, Algeria. All of these countries are a part of it. UAE was also a part of this group, but yesterday, day before yesterday, UAE has quit this particular group and UAE has separated itself from OPEC. This might sound negative. It is negative, but we'll also look at why this is positive for us. Now, if UAE is leaving this group, this means that UAE now gets independent oil production and exporting rights. अभी तक क्या था, ओपेक से यूएई को परमिशन लेनी पड़ती थी, that dear OPEC guys, I am willing to export to this country. Say for example that country is India. So UAE will have to take permission. I am willing to sell to India. Can I do that or not? After approval from all of the countries, only then UAE will be able to export to India. Now that UAE is not a part of OPEC, UAE can freely, independently, at its own will, can export its oil to anybody. Right? So this is point number one, that UAE has got independent oil production and exporting right. Second, how is this beneficial for Indian market? How is it beneficial for us? India has increased and extended its ties with UAE for a long time. And recently we have seen all of our political guys, the finance minister, oil minister, they've been visiting UAE for a while now. NSC Arjit also visited that place. Our foreign minister also visited UAE. So India's tie with UAE, it's increasing. And also, if UAE leaves OPEC and if countries again, acha, one more thing. If you look at the Strait of Hormuz map, I don't have that available right now. I wish I had. UAE does not have a very serious impact if Strait of Hormuz is closed or not. The naval blockade that the US talked about, that would not hamper UAE from distributing its oil to other countries. Which means if Iran or US, if this war extends, and if there is maybe some condition where people are not able to export oil or maybe they're not able to purchase oil from OPEC countries, they can very well contact UAE and get their oils export, because Strait of Hormuz is on the northern side, UAE is on the southern side, right? Strait of Hormuz comes after the UAE. So it's easier for UAE to transport, export, and accept all of the goods and services. Pura transportation, it's very easy for UAE. So if this goes on successfully, if there are no repercussions for it, if there are no attacks on UAE for this, then the oil marketing power would shift globally. So this is like a historical movement that all of us we are witnessing right? So this all of this was point number one. Now, how would this impact our market? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, it is negative for all of those sectors that deal with oil as its raw material. You talk about Asian paints. Asian paints, all the stock is under pressure since the Russia-Ukraine war already, right? So why is the stock under pressure? Because paints make crude oil is essential. Without crude oil, you cannot make paint and you cannot create and you cannot sell it. Even if you do, your margins would be crunched, like crushed properly. You won't have any margins left if you use crude oil continuously for your production. Yeah, so oil and all of those paint companies that would be under pressure. All of the oil marketing companies, you say all of those ONGC or you'd say not ONGC, you would talk about Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, Hindustan Petroleum, oil marketing companies. For these companies, it is big negative. Why? Oil marketing companies का क्या काम होता है? They get crude, they refine it, and then they sell it ahead. If you're getting a raw material, that raw material is expensive, you add your additional cost of refining it and sell it further. Indian government has already put a cap on petrol and diesel prices. So these Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, they cannot increase the prices at all. So once again, their margin is crushed, right? So it's a big negative for paint companies, big negative for OMCs. Also aviation as well, we're already seeing the crisis that Indigo is going through, right? So it's big negative for aviation as well because jet fuel becomes expensive. But all of this, it's positive for one or two companies, you name it. You have ONGC, Oil India, Reliance. In companies का क्या काम है? These are these are basically refiners. Either they purchase oil and they sell it further without refining it, or they purchase oil, they refine it, and then they sell it to somebody else. They don't sell it to users, they sell it to somebody else where they can change or manipulate price on their own. They don't have any upper cap, they don't have any regulations for not changing prices. Right? Reliance Industries, ONGC, Oil India, it's big positive for these companies. Now, if you talk about the macro impact of all of this, you talk about भाई यूएई ने निकाल दिया, ओपेक छोड़ दिया, या इंडिया परचेज करने लग गया ऑयल. So how is it beneficial for India on a macro level? Well, if crude becomes expensive, it would impact your inflation. We have talked about this earlier as well. It would impact inflation. You would also be increasing your fiscal deficit, and this would delay rate cut, which would impact all of those rate sensitive stocks and sectors that we talked about. We talk about auto, NBFCs, real estate. All of these sectors would come under pressure. But if crude oil is not expensive for India, if the Indian crude oil becomes cheaper with while dealing with UAE, our country will get benefit, as in we'll get cheap oil, so inflation would not be that difficult for us. The USD INR pair, that would come down again to 95 pair, that would come down to 90, 89, 88, and also we'll get diversified supply for oil. Right now we're dependent only on Russia for oil, Russia and all of the other Middle Eastern countries. If UAE start exporting oil to us, and if it is cheap, again it's a big positive for India. Right, so these are some of the major developments that have been happening over the last 2 3 days. And again, there are several points that you can add to it, like if you have to add the entire message that is coming up from UAE, right, that because the entire war is affecting the prices overall, the oil prices, UAE has now decided that it will play by its own rules. So UAE is becoming independent, and it is trying to get its rights back to produce and export oil. So all of these factors are now changing the entire demographics for how oil supply and demand works globally. So it's an important thing that the users must watch, and they should also like keep a check of this. I did not go into much details because we are running short of time already. But right, we can definitely talk about it in detail in the upcoming sessions as well. So this is something very important that everybody should take a note of. Please, Samir.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for this wonderful insight. Ajit, like you rightly mentioned, users who are currently not on the platform where they can get one-to-one consultation with SEBI-registered experts, they can get trade recommendations and the research reports. Then I have dropped the link for our application in the description below, so they can download from there. And thank you so much for today's wonderful, insightful session. Let's catch up on Monday at 4:30 p.m.
Definitely. Thank you.